Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Bad Luck Gamer, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most interesting archetypes, honestly, I think, on the entire list. Not only does it provide capabilities that most archetypes don't, but it has a deep lore and it involves special equipment as well. And obviously, you already know what the archetype is since it's going to be in the title of this video. But today, we're going to be talking about the Beast Gunner, which I'm very excited about, especially because it showed up on my top 5 video for my favorite archetypes. And if you want to check that video out, please go ahead and check it out here. I'll put a title card up here in the corner. But before we get to that, let's just go ahead and talk about some things on the channel real quick. I apologize for the lack of an archetype video yesterday. I just couldn't get it out, so I had to get another video that I had prepped out first. I will be doing another archetype video, and I'll probably be posting it on Saturday morning, so you can be on the lookout for that, so no worries about that. And if you've enjoyed this video, please support this channel as we've just crossed the 800 subscriber barrier, and now we're heading towards that 1,000 point marker soon. I'm very excited about it, so you can like this video if you've enjoyed it. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe. And if you want to see all that's going on in the channel and everything going on with the Bad Luck Gamer brand, you can either go and join our Discord down below, and I always record there for my games first. So if you want to play with me and my friends, that's the place to go, or talk about all things tabletop, including Warhammer 40k. Or in the description, I also have a link to my Twitter, where I do my best to try to be as relevant and post things as much as possible. I'm not the kind of person who posts things on Twitter like all that often, so you'll have to forgive me. It's something I'm trying to get better at, but it's hard for me. But anyway, enough of all that. Let's go ahead and get on with the video. So the Beast Gunner. Woo boy. All right. So this is a ridiculous one. There's not actually a lot of feats in Beast Gunner, but it does come with a lot. And to even become a Beast Gunner in the first place, you need to perform a specific ritual. Now, it's not actually a ritual in the sense of like Pathfinder 2E rituals where you have spellcasters and all that kind of stuff. No, you have to hunt a specific creature and you have to turn it into a gun. That's essentially what it is. You have to perform a hunt. And depending on the power level of the creature you want to turn into a gun, you have to either do it by yourself if you're significantly more powerful than the creature, or if the creature is relatively a challenge for you, you can have up to 5 co-participants and, any animals they may have, like hunting dogs or birds. This probably means you can use animal companions and such like that. That can help you with the fight as well, depending on what level you are and depending on what kind of creature you're going for. And then you kill the creature, turn it into a gun. Then you have to tell a story about your hunt and the creature itself, and then you bond with your gun. Then you can start taking the archetype dedication, which let me pull it up here just so I don't miss anything. First of all, you have to be an expert with at least one type of firearm, and you own a beast gun, which we just went over, and you have to be trained in Arcana and crafting. So it's a lot, and being trained in a firearm is kind of hard. It is, of course, doable for sure. There are definitely ways around it, and technically, if you have martial weapon training, you are trained in firearms, even though you don't have access to them. So having expert proficiency in them, pretty much most martial classes would get access to this at around level 5. Unfortunately, if you're playing a magic casting class, being a beast gunner is going to be really hard, and you're not going to be able to really pick up a beast gun until much later, level 11 or 13, depending on the class. So this is definitely one of the ones that is very martially leaning, which is very strange, but it makes a lot of sense considering what the beast gunner actually does. So let's talk about what the actual dedication does here, and it's a big one. This dedication allows you to use your gun as a conduit for amplifying any latent active magic powers you may have. So you become a spontaneous spellcaster, and you learn, or you can use the cast a spell activity, which is pretty big. Cast a spell activity allows you to use magic items like wands and such from certain traditions, as well as a lot of other kinds of magic items. And when you have access to it, you also gain a spell repertoire with one cantrip of your choice from either the arcane or primal spell list. You choose this cantrip from the common spells on your chosen spell list, or from other spells you have access to on this list. Yada yada yada. You, of whichever the two traditions you pick, you get charisma as your spell casting modifier or your key ability. So you become either an arcane or primal spellcaster, and you get an access to one cantrip, and you become trained in the tradition spell attack rolls and DCs. But there's one more aspect, and probably one of the most important aspects, is Beast Gunner gets access to Spell Sling, where when you're using your bonded beast gun, you can use a 1 or 2 action spell and use the result of your attack roll. So you actually fire your gun, and it counts. It's pretty much a spell strike. So you fire your gun, and you can you use that to determine whether the spell hits. The spell attack has to have an attack roll associated with it, obviously. So something like Ray of Frost, Produce Flame, all those kind of ones. And it's just a spell strike, only it's a less efficient one because it takes 3 actions. But because you're using a beast gun, which is probably going to hit pretty hard anyway, it's overall really, really good. So I think that the beast gunner is really solid, just the dedication feat alone, even though it has a lot of requirements, a lot of RP stuff you have to do. And, you know, one of the fascinating things about the Beast Gunner is the fact that Beast Gunners actually predate all forms of firearms. Beast guns were actually the first form of guns in all of Galarian and like Arcadia. Beast Gunners have this long tradition. I really wish it could come out with an adventure book or a world book for Arcadia, because it sounds really, really cool. The beast guns are absolutely interesting. We'll actually get into one of them here in just a minute, so I can kind of go over what makes a beast gun so awesome. But let's go on to the next dedication feat here. So Beast Gunner actually is technically like a multi-class, or a magical multi-class. In a sense, you get access to basic spellcasting benefits for the tradition that you picked for your beast gun. It's pretty awesome, honestly. You get some extra spells, and this one goes all the way to the master, I believe, at the end. It really does. The only thing beast gun does not provide is the breath spells with a DTH breath that gives you extra spell slots. So it's really cool. You can add extra spells to your spell repertoire that you can then potentially spell sling with, or just add spells that, you know, can give you some boosts. Haste's a really good one, for example. Nothing really much more to say about that one. It's pretty self-explanatory. Call Gun. This is actually a archetype feat that is split with spell shot. And spell shot's not even, it's like a specialization kind of archetype dedication. So this one, more or less, what it allows you to do is, as a single action, you can call to your hand your gun that you've prepped at the beginning of the day. Now, I'm assuming the intent for this one is that it is your beast gun specifically, but it doesn't say beast gun specifically. What it says is that during your daily preparations, you pick a firearm or crossbow, and that is the one that comes to your hand. So technically, it does not have to be your beast gun, but I think thematically it should be. But that's up to you and your GM on how that goes. Regardless, this is a pretty okay one. Not one of my favorites, honestly, just because you should have your gun with you at all times. But if you ever take into prison and you need your gun, you're never without your weapon, essentially, as long as you're on the same plane of existence. Drain Vitality is actually a really good feat. It's pretty solid. It's a single action. You drain the magic from your gun temporarily to give yourself a amount of temporary hit points equal to your level, and you can automatically roll to remove a current ongoing persistent damage effect using whatever, flat check you normally would. So if you have some kind of resistance to a certain kind of damage that makes your flat checks easier, you're capable of doing so. This is really solid. Overall, it's pretty good. It gives you extra hit points as well, which is pretty solid. I think, let me double check that they last for a minute. It does not say. You gain temporary hit points equal to your level. Yeah, no, it does not say. So you get temporary hit points. Now, this only lasts, or you can only do this once per minute. So essentially, you can only do this once per battle. It's still pretty good, but this does come at the cost that you can't use any of your weapons' activated abilities until the end of your next turn. So for that turn plus the end of the next one, you can't do whatever cool abilities your gun has. And now you might be asking, wait, beast guns have cool abilities? Yes, they do. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of my favorite ones, which is the Drake rifle. All right, so we're gonna be talking about the Drake rifle, and I apologize. Unlike a lot of the other beast guns, the Drake rifle itself does not have any art, which is really unfortunate. I could really imagine some good art coming with the Drake rifle particularly, but oh well, what can you do? So I'm going to put a picture of the, oh goodness, which one is this one? It's the petrifying gun. The petrifying gun, which uses a basilisk. So this is kind of what your guns generally look like. They look like weird taxidermied creatures that, have been set up sort of in the shape of a gun. I definitely think you could have a lot more gun-shaped beast guns, though they do have to incorporate parts of the creature into the gun. And the Drake rifle here will tell you exactly what is a part of the gun. So, the Drake rifle is a firearm made from the saliva glands of a drake. The firearm launches small bursts of empowered spittle instead of typical rounds of ammunition. A Drake rifle is a +1 weapon. It's a distinct type of martial firearm that deals 1d10 damage with a range increment of 150 feet and a reload of 1. It deals either acid, cold, electricity, fire, or poison damage, depending on which type of drake it was made from. On a critical hit, the spittle clings to the target and they take persistent damage of the same type as the weapon, equal to 1d4 plus the number of weapon damage dice. A Drake rifle does not add critical specialization effects. So the Drake rifle is an elemental long-range gun. It does a d10 damage. It does not, it's a rifle weapon for all intents and purposes of your proficiency with it, and it's a +1. It doesn't say it's a striking weapon, which is a little unfortunate. It is a level 4 item, and I imagine that you could ask your DM to be able to upgrade your gun as you go. I'm pretty sure as well. The Drake rifle doesn't, but other forms do have greater and major forms. I'm sure that you could come up with a good version for that as well. But I really like the Drake rifle. It does elemental damage. And even though it does say it uses spittle specifically, it doesn't say that, one, it doesn't require normal ammo to fire. It doesn't say it has anything about having unlimited ammo, which means you could use special ammo with it, which I don't know why you wouldn't. That would make it'd be very weird to have that be a thing. And not only that, but this gun comes with an additional effect, which is the ability in the prior mentioned feat, which for this one, as a 3-action interact, once per day, you fire a large specialized burst designed to hamper your foes. You make a ranged strike with the Drake rifle. As long as the strike isn't a critical failure, the Drake rifle deals 1 splash damage per weapon damage die to the target creature, to the target and creatures within 5 feet. Sorry about that. And the splash damage is the same type as its normal damage. If you do hit with this strike, though, depending on the type of damage that the gun does, it does an additional effect. If it's acid damage, for instance, the target becomes sickened 1. If it's cold, they get a -10 status penalty to their speed for 1 minute, which is really good. Electricity, the target becomes dazzled and flat-footed for 1d4 rounds. flat-footed for 1d4 rounds? That's crazy. Fire, it explodes. The target is pushed back 10 feet away if it's on the ground. And if it's on the ground, it falls prone, which is pretty good. You can knock a target prone with this gun, but they are pushed 10 feet away from you, and that's not optional. So it can mess things up depending on the situation. It's still really good. Knocking a target prone is super solid. If it's poison, the target becomes enfeebled 1 and clumsy 1 for 1 minute, which is also really good. A very overall super strong effect. Now, it does say that the Drake Rifle does not apply critical specialization effects. That does not mean it does not apply things like Fatal, though I don't think this gun actually comes with Fatal. It's a Drake Rifle is a +1 weapon. It's a distinct type of martial firearm with a 1d10 damage and a range. Yeah, so it doesn't actually have Fatal. But if you did have something for firearms in this situation, they don't apply the critical specialization effect. That's not an overly big deal, and instead it's replaced with its own unique critical specialization effect that isn't even a critical specialization effect. So characters who don't even normally get critical specialization effects or have a certain requirement for them don't need to overly worry about it. And I love the Drake Rifle. I think there's some things that could be done to make it carry on to the later game, of course. There's a lot of other guns as well, and I'm sure they're going to be adding more, but this is just a prime example of what makes the Beast Gunner so unique. But let's go ahead and go on to the next feat. As Expert Beast Gunner Specialist just gives you the Expert spellcasting benefit. So more spells, higher level spells as you level up. Pretty good. Adds on to what you're already doing already. Nothing really fancy to say about this one. This feat is nuts. Controlled Bullet is a must-take feat in my opinion. Now, you can only use it once per day, and it does take 2 actions. But essentially what this does, and you can read it here, I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but essentially what it does is you make a strike against, you make a range strike using the gun within its first range increment. Then the shot tears through the enemy if you hit, and it flies to another enemy no further than the distance towards the initial target. It can keep doing this, making a new strike against a new target, and it cannot be farther from the previous target than the distance equal to the beast gun's range increment. So it can't go more than 1 range increment per, and it keeps doing this until you run out of enemies, because you cannot strike the same enemy twice or you miss. And each of the strikes you make against targets during the controlled bullet do not add your multi-attack penalty, but all strikes do add to the penalty after the shot is made. So if you hit 3 targets, you still hit them all at your highest, or whatever you fired at. So if you didn't have any multi-attack penalty, none of them take a multi-attack penalty, and then after the 3rd one, you're then at your, shot number 3 if you want to fire with your 3rd action in the round, what have you. This is nuts. You can hit a bunch of people in a row and just strike them. And the Drake Rifle is great for this because the range increment is 150 feet. You can 100% guaranteed hit all the enemies in a room as long as each shot is a hit. I don't know what to say. This is really good. This is absolutely solid. The Drake Rifle is just really good for this one, but a lot of the other ones are pretty solid as well. And you can just attack an entire room if you get lucky enough. That's really good. And if you're smart, you target the weaker AC enemies first, and then you hit the big boss with it. And it's once per day, so it's not a super overpowered thing. I really like this feat. It's really, really cool. I like the idea that you can, move the bullet. You got control over the bullet and its trajectory. And oh gosh, it's so good. It makes the Beast Gunner super interesting. And the last feat in the list is just going to be Master Spellcasting Benefits, which means you do become a Master Spellcaster when you're using the Beast Gunner Archetype Dedication. at, level, I think 18 is what it is. Yes, level 18, which I think is later than some of the other ones, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, this is great. This is perfect for any of your martial characters that you want to add a little bit of magic in and still get a lot of bang for your buck. That was bad, I'm sorry. But it's a really, really good archetype dedication. Not only does this provide some really good combat advantages, you get access to a unique set of equipment. And not only that, but there is really good lore and really good utility with this. This hits all the marks for what I think makes a really good archetype. And even though it doesn't have a lot of feats, what feats it does have are really, really good. And you can mix this if you're taking the free archetype dedication bonus. You pick this one up at level 6 or at level 8, depending on how you want to do it. And yeah, it has to be level 8 because you get one at 2 and then 4 and 6. So you'd have to pick this up at level 8 at your earliest, but it would carry you through the rest of a 1 to 20 game. And honestly, the idea of hunting down your gun and making it yourself is just so cool. It's very Monster Hunter. I absolutely love it. The Beast Gunner dedication is just really, really good. So that's it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. And again, I apologize for, the lack of another archetype video yesterday. This one will come out, and it will come out tomorrow. This one will come out on time, and then Saturday we will be having the next archetype video. So you'll still get your 2 videos, and yeah. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.